Welcome to the deep dive. We're cutting through the noise today, extracting what truly matters for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Our focus, building a successful business based on a really powerful module we've been exploring.
hmm
Forget the myths, the overnight riches, the minimal effort stuff. We're here for the reality check.
Absolutely. This deep dive centers on a core principle from that material. Basically, to get what most people don't have, you need to be prepared to do what most people won't do.
Right.
We're unpacking what that really means for you.
Exactly. We'll be looking at the essential effort, the time, and the sacrifices involved.
Yeah, the real costs.
And pinpointing 5 common pitfalls that can derail even, the best intentions.
hmm
And this isn't about sugarcoating. It's about setting genuine expectations. So, ready for an honest look.
Let's dive in. Let's start with a crucial mindset shift, the long-term view.
Okay.
Our source material really emphasizes that significant positive results in your business typically take about 2 to 3 years.
2 to 3 years. Wow. That can feel like a marathon, especially when you're, looking for those quick wins.
It can, yeah.
But the module highlights a key psychological benefit to having this expectation.
Precisely. Think of it as your shield against early discouragement.
Okay.
Expecting rapid, monumental success can really set you up for disappointment. And quitting, frankly, when those initial big wins don't just materialize instantly.
Right.
A longer horizon, it builds resilience.
So the fundamental question it seems to pose to you, the listener, is your ultimate business vision worth potentially 2 to 3 years of that foundational work?
That's the crux of it. Yeah.
That's a crucial piece of self-awareness.
Mhm.
The module then tackles defining a good business, which, isn't as obvious as it sounds. It says it's all about comparison.
Exactly. Good isn't some fixed state. It's a constantly moving target. It's defined by your competition. Your business isn't good in a vacuum, only relative to what else is out there. And what's fascinating, or maybe daunting, is that this benchmark keeps rising.
Okay, so even if you're performing well now, you really can't afford to coast.
Not at all.
Continuous effort is key just to maintain that level of good as your competitors improve.
Yes, exactly. Constant evolution.
That really underscores the importance of, constant evolution. Yeah. And that ties directly into this idea of aiming for the best.
Which the module argues isn't just like a lofty ideal, but a necessity for significant financial success. And for lasting client loyalty, too.
Right.
In most markets, the lion's share of the rewards, the money, it goes to those perceived as the absolute best.
So those promises of effortless income streams you hear about.
Yeah.
The module suggests that truly being the best, the one customers flock to, that requires consistent ongoing work. It kind of challenges that notion of purely passive income.
Well, what's insightful here is how the module reframes passive income. It's not that it doesn't exist, but creating and maintaining something that remains the best in a competitive field, that demands ongoing effort.
Right. You can't just build it once and walk away.
Exactly. Even if your initial offering is groundbreaking, if you're not continuously innovating, putting in the work,
someone else will.
Someone else will step in, put in their work, and surpass you. And they'll draw your audience away.
So the pursuit of being the best is like an active, ongoing commitment.
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, let's tackle this idea of embracing the hard work, the stuff that's inherent in building a business.
This is a vital mindset shift. Yeah. The module challenges your perception of hard by pointing out that, look, every path in life has its difficulties.
True.
There's really no escaping hardship entirely.
So the question isn't, do I want something hard? It's more like, what version of hard am I willing to commit to?
Exactly.
Is it the hard work of building a business with all its uncertainties and demands? Or is it, the hard realities of maybe stagnation or unfulfillment if you don't?
Precisely. And from this understanding emerges what the module identifies as the #1 requirement for a business owner.
Okay, what's that?
A relentless commitment to learning new skills and constant self-improvement.
This really dismantles that image of the, detached CEO just pulling strings from above.
Totally.
The module stresses that business owners, especially in the early stages, need a really comprehensive understanding of all facets of their operation.
Marketing, sales, operations, finance, you name it.
Yeah.
Even if your passion lies in one specific area, say you're a coach and you just want to coach,
right,
you still need to grasp how all the interconnected parts function to build something sustainable.
And I guess from a customer's perspective, it builds trust too, right?
How so?
Well, they're more likely to engage with a business owner who clearly understands their own operations and how they deliver value. It signals competence.
That's a great point. Yeah. This broader understanding directly impacts the quality of your product or service and ultimately the results your clients achieve.
Mm-hmm.
Furthermore, the module notes that when you do start to hire talented individuals, the A players, they're attracted to leaders who possess this comprehensive grasp of the business.
Ah, interesting. So they want to learn from someone who truly knows their stuff.
Exactly. They want to learn from someone who truly knows their field inside and out.
So continuous learning isn't just like beneficial, it's foundational for attracting clients, delivering quality, and building a strong team.
Couldn't have said it better.
Okay, let's now turn our attention to the 5 common pitfalls the module highlights. The first one is a lack of sacrifice.
This is critical.
Yeah.
The module uses this analogy of a full container.
Okay.
To add the significant demands of building a business to an already packed life, well, something has to give.
Right.
You need to create space by intentionally sacrificing existing commitments, things you're doing now.
It's that idea that you can't simply keep adding without subtracting somewhere else.
Exactly.
And the scale of your ambitions, your goals, directly correlates with the level of sacrifice required.
If you're aiming high, you'll likely need to release some current activities, maybe even things you enjoy.
And while that can be uncomfortable, maybe even painful.
It often is.
Yeah.
But it's often a necessary precursor to progress.
Okay. Pitfall number 2, lack of effort. This sounds obvious, maybe.
It does sound obvious, but the module emphasizes that average effort consistently yields, well, average outcomes.
Right. You can't expect exceptional results by doing just enough to get by or just doing what everyone else is doing.
No. And the module shares this powerful story about a guitar teacher, which illustrates this perfectly.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about that.
Well, the anecdote is about this one student who consistently went above and beyond the assigned work, practiced more, learned extra songs.
The overachiever.
Sort of, yeah. But it vividly shows the difference between just typical effort and truly exceptional effort and the results that follow.
And how does that translate to business examples?
Well, the module gives tangible examples. Reading significantly more industry books than the average CEO, or sending out a vastly higher volume of targeted outreach emails, or making way more cold calls than is typical.
Okay. So it challenges that common conclusion that a strategy doesn't work when, in reality, the effort applied was simply insufficient.
Exactly. Which leads right into the third pitfall, not reaching capacity.
Not reaching capacity. What does that mean exactly?
This is about understanding the necessary threshold of effort and activity required to accurately assess if a strategy is effective or not.
Okay.
The archer analogy in the module illustrates this really well. If you only take, say, 2 or 3 sporadic shots,
Right.
you can't truly gauge the accuracy of your aim no matter how sound your technique might be. You just don't have enough data.
Exactly. So business owners often prematurely discard strategies, not because the strategy itself is flawed, but because they haven't implemented it with enough consistency and, crucially, enough volume to generate meaningful data.
They haven't reached the required capacity for that strategy. That's the key idea.
So the advice is, first, maximize your effort and the volume of activity within your current strategies.
Yeah, push them harder.
Before concluding they're ineffective and jumping ship to something new.
Right. You need to test them at a sufficient level to get a clear, reliable signal about whether they work for you in your context.
Got it. Okay, pitfall number 4, lack of focus.
This one really hits home for a lot of people, I think.
Yeah.
The module uses the analogy of becoming an expert by reading books. You wouldn't read just 1 or 2 books on a complex topic and claim mastery, right?
No, of course not.
It demands sustained effort and focused attention across many resources over time.
Okay.
And the same principle applies to business strategies. The mindset needs to shift from constantly asking, will this work, to committing, I'm going to make this work.
Yep.
So, less about finding the perfect magical strategy. Exactly. Because the module underscores that numerous different business approaches can be successful. Door-to-door sales, cold calls, sophisticated ads, content marketing. Many things can work.
The danger then lies in perpetually chasing the next shiny object, jumping from one tactic to another.
Precisely. Without giving any single approach the dedicated time and consistent effort needed to actually yield results.
It's about persistence and iteration, right? Viewing each attempt, even failures, as a step forward on a chosen path.
Yes. sticking with something long enough to optimize it and see it through.
Okay. And finally, the fifth pitfall, avoidance of risk.
Ah, yes, risk. This is a fundamental aspect of the business owner's mindset. It really distinguishes it from, say, an employee's perspective.
How so?
Well, the module rightly points out that all business endeavors inherently involve risk. Guarantees are, well, pretty rare.
True. Whether it's hiring someone, launching a new product, investing in marketing, there's always uncertainty.
Always. The key difference is how business owners approach that risk. Instead of seeking entirely risk-free options, which, let's be honest, are often illusory,
Right.
they evaluate and compare the inherent risks. They weigh the potential upsides and downsides and make informed decisions despite the uncertainty.
So they don't eliminate risks, they manage it.
They manage it. They understand it. They recognize that sometimes inaction, not taking a calculated risk, can actually be the greatest risk of all.
That's a powerful point. So waiting for absolute certainty, for that 100% guarantee before acting, that often leads to missed opportunities.
Almost always does. The strength of a business owner lies in understanding, weighing, and comparing risks, and then moving forward decisively, acting despite the risk.
Absolutely. And that brings us toward the conclusion of this deep dive into setting realistic expectations for building a successful business.
It's been a really valuable exploration of these foundational principles, I think.
Yeah, definitely grounding. And hopefully, as the module intended, this has provided you, the listener, with clarity and realistic expectations, not discouragement.
That's the goal.
The core takeaways seem pretty clear. Be willing to do what most won't. Understand the necessity of significant effort, time, and sacrifice. And consciously work to avoid those 5 key pitfalls we discussed. Lack of sacrifice, insufficient effort, not reaching capacity, lack of focus, and finally, risk avoidance.
Yeah. And in our future deep dives, we'll definitely get into more specific tactical strategies, but this groundwork, this foundation of realistic expectations, it's absolutely essential first.
Couldn't agree more. So as you consider all this, maybe reflect on that question. What version of hard are you truly prepared for? And how might that understanding shape your approach to your own business journey?
Great question to ponder.
Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.